thank you for joining me today. I was over at my friend's yesterday and she gave me this pillow sham. It should have two, but she could only find one. Also, two pillows. This one is a little bit sad. It's very soft. It used to be 26 by 20. The feathers inside have broken down. If she'd wanted the pillow that size again, I would have put more feathers in. I'm going to pop that to the side because this is the newer pillow. It's 14 inches high by 27. So straight off the bat, I want two pillows that size, which I can get because they're very similar. The second thing that is going to dictate how big I can make this is the fact that I've only got one of these. So I'm going to take this to pieces and find out what parts I can use from it. So let's get on with it. I need to harvest as much fabric off here as possible. Sometimes it takes a little while to work out where and how they did something, because that goes in, and then that goes over the top. There's no fold over for the seam there, so everything has been put together and then the trim has been put on top. What I need to do is come down here and snag that thread there, if I can. I'm not sure where my seam ripper is. It down somewhere. I'm going to do it this way to start off with. So I'm going to pull my thread out like that, cut it, and then where that was, see if I can pull that up. Now it might be that it was put on from this side. Yeah, there we are. So you pull things around and eventually you work out how they put everything together. So I'm going to unpick this. I'll get my scissors out and get this open quite quickly and pull the whole pillow sham to pieces because I need as much of this as possible. I don't want to just cut things off because this seam might need to go into my new seam. It'll take me a little while to get all of this undone and remove all the pieces. The only thing when you are retrieving fabric from things, it is more time consuming than if you were to have a fresh piece of fabric and be cutting it for the first time. So if you're doing this as a job, just remember that it's going to take you almost twice as long sometimes to retrieve the fabric that you want for the project. So I'll get this undone and then we'll proceed from there. Sometimes you can pull it up and tear it, but I don't want to risk losing anything because I might have to use this for piping. This is down, that feels equal, so it's side by side. I am going to cut this in half. Now usually what I would do would be to line up this part of the pattern with this part of the pattern and go from there, but as you can see, if I do that, the whole thing twists over, and keeping as much fabric is the most important part of this project. So I'm going to hold that there, straighten it to the middle, so it will twist a little bit either end, but it should be about right. Pop this under here, pull it out and cut. Hold it there so it doesn't move, pull it out and cut. I can straighten the edges in a minute. Pull it out here, hold it there and carry on cutting to the end. Just being very cautious. Now I have two pieces, which is what I wanted. Velvet, especially something like this, washes up quite nicely. I was thinking of putting a flange around it, but I don't have enough on this flange for two, so I'm going to have to cut down the centre. All I have to do is follow that fold and cut. That's not going to give very much of a flange by the time I've hemmed it over, and to have a little bit of fabric on the back, even though it's not the same one, would give me the body that I need on this project. I think that'll work. This is from here to there 2 inches. I'll measure it in a few places and see what the average is. 2 1/4. And she has a roll pillow, so maybe I could do the roll pillow in this kind of fun fabric. I think my friend up the road might have some that I could use. I'm just going to strip this up into 2 1/4 lengths. Run the edge of the ruler along the edge of the fabric like that, and then just cut up to the mark I want. Nice and easy. I think I'll probably end up using the whole of this length for the 2 pillows, and I'll work my way to the end. The length of the fluffy fabric I actually did put in on the bias, and I also made sure that the fabric was facing the same way. That's that piece done. Now for the trim on the front. Lay that out flat, as wide as I can, but in a straight line, like that. And then I'll pull that one out and do the same with that. Because this is a velvet, I'm going to iron it face down like that. What I've already noticed is this one isn't actually very straight, so I'm going to straighten that one up. That one's okay. Line those two pieces up like that. They kind of slip around, so it sometimes takes a couple of goes to get it where you want it. It's even at the top. Slide it underneath. Shorten stitch to medium. A couple of stitches forward and back at the top. And then all the way across and off. Then I'm going to work my way to the next one and then cut in a straight line down like that, and the same on the other side. I want as much fabric as I can, but I don't want to put it in on angles because I'll lose too much of this if I do that. Press that out and steam it on both sides. Straighten up just a little bit more there, and then I am yet again going to pop this at the top here like that, and sew this one into position as well. Forward and back, a few stitches, and then all the way across. And then I'm going to repeat at the next corner. Need plenty of steam. If you pick up an old pillow or something, the original seams will be quite well in there, so a lot of steam if you can to get them out. And there's lots of little stitches I need to remove from there. I don't know what my plan was when I first got this. Line it up and sew it. And again, all the way to the bottom. With this fabric, the pile goes down. This I'm going to put on top like that, and see if I can run that evenly. The green is on the inside, this is a little wider and is on the outside. Forward and back. As I make my way across, I'm just going to pull that flat against the one on the bottom, pin it in place with my finger, and then let the dog teeth pull it all the way through. If you have a seam, just make sure it's open. Make sure the bottoms and tops are even. Push it down and sew. And I'm going to do that all the way across here. Even the seam on the top, just make sure it stays open. Because I need to trim back the base of this, I will steam open this first all the way along and make sure that it's nice and open. Sometimes you end up ironing more creases in. Just do it very carefully. Or you could have done this first before attaching it. That would be entirely up to you. Open the seam out. I am going to run the edge of here along the top edge of the green fabric and cut this back as I go along to 2 1/4 inches. Some areas it might not need to be cut back, and other areas it's going to need quite a bit cut back. I just want it even at the bottom. The other thing I'm going to do is scrape out all these little stitches that are in there. Some I might be able to pull out from the front like that, and others are just going to be little bits of thread that need to be removed. I should have really done that before attaching it, but never mind. It doesn't matter as long as you get it done either way, and either way works. Now I'm going to work my way up here and open that seam out and press it flat. If there's any extra little bits, I'll get them as I go. Plenty of steam. It just helps the top not roll. It's going to roll anyway because of the fluffy fabric on the back, but it should hold the look a little bit better. And I'll make my way to the top. All I'm going to do now is pop that underneath here, quite close to the edge. I'm not going to really pull it, I'm going to just even it out and sew on the longest stitch all the way across the bottom. It's important to keep these together, as you don't really want one side to walk against the other. And again, just pull the top slightly against the bottom. Not too much, just a little bit, because the other fabric will twist against there, and I just want to make sure that it's even top to bottom. So I'm really not pulling, I'm just evening it out one side against the other like that. Pop that down there, make sure that's even there to there, and then when it goes into the scatter cushion it will be even and it shouldn't twist too much. This is the bottom of the new pillow sham, and I am going to pop this down here. I always measure out halfway and then overlap, and all I'm going to do is pull this in, hold that in there, put a couple of stitches in to start off with just to hold everything in place, and then I'm going to just pull that down into little pleats like that, and then on around. Now I don't have enough fabric to have this pleated all the way around, so I'm just going to put it in as flat as I can, and at the moment just a foot width in from the outside edge. I am not pulling anything, just letting it ease in. As I come into the corner, I'm just going to put a few little pleats like this, usually 3 or 4, and I am just going to do it as a arc there, because I find it easier to go around, push that one back in there, and then on up. Now, this had a liner on it, which I've lined up and pinned into place so it doesn't walk anywhere. It's because the back side is of brushed cotton. We obviously decided to put that on so it would be easier to get a pillow in or out of the cover. So I've kept it. Pull that into place, and I'm coming in the top here. Again, as I come into the top corner, I'm going to put a number of small pleats in. If I was putting a gathered border on here, I would have already pre-gathered this and then pulled in the gathers as I went round so that there's more fabric there, but seeing as I don't have the extra fabric to do that, I'm having to crunch it in as I go. It works, and around we go. The art is to keep everything even. Remove that pin and make my way on round. Just come round that last corner, and I'm going to sew this in here, which means going across here, and because I can't see where it is I'm going to cut this back. I'm going to lay that over there and bring it all the way across here until it is level with the top here. So I don't want to bring it in any further than about here. I'll just bring that to there, which is a good 2 inches over, I think, like that, and then put a few little pleats there to even it out and hide this like that. It should be even along the top. You don't want to be shorting it too much because otherwise it's more noticeable. And I always put these joins at the bottom so that the pillow will be hiding everything so nobody will see it. And again, just cut that extra off. The original back was a lot bigger than this. I cut it in half a short while ago. I did pre-iron it before I cut it in half, but I'm just going to quickly press this so that I have it as straight as possible before I put it into the new cover. And I'll do that again to this smaller piece. So I'm laying this out. The tie is on the inside because I want the right sides together. I'm moving this down and into place here. Put the corners in first, there and here. Just make sure all of those pleats are inside. Centre back, put that in. I'm going to move down either side, so bring that in. I'm not pulling it, I'm just laying it on there flat. This plain green has a little bit more give in it, so I don't want to stretch it out of shape. And then across here to just where the ties are on either side. Now with this, I know that's where the tie is, I know where that's the edge is. I'm going to pull it back about an inch from there, so there's enough pull on there to tie it, but not too much. This is obviously the wrong way, so I'm going to put a pin in here and a pin on here. That can just flap over there for now. I think I want to take that much fabric off that end. I have a feeling that this went up and down instead of a crossways, so I'm going to take that out, fold it and cut. Usually I'd make everything precise, but this is an upcycle. As long as it fits in and looks nice, that's what matters. And then I'm going to pin the corners in first and then the middle there. All I'm going to do is pop this underneath here, starting on the underside. Now the underside is going to be the top when it's turned the right way through. Now I start on this side first, and I'm going to sew this in about 1/2 inch from the outside. Remove that pin. Forward and back, because there's a bit of stress there, and forward and on round. As I come into the corner, I'm going to move that pin, push all of the little pleats up and into the cushion like that, and sew it towards the corner. Now, just as I start to turn, I'm going to lift the foot up, pull all of those pleats that I've already put in to one side, pull the centre ones out to the centre, twist it slightly and start turning. Put the needle down, pick the foot up again, twist it almost into position, and again pull those pleats in and around, because you don't want them all caught up and unable to move. And then on up the side, put that in, and so as I get there and move that, move all those pleats in like that, put that into the corner again, and start moving across those pleats. Get a little way round, foot down, needle up, twist it slightly, pull all of those pleats that you've sewn in towards the back, all the ones in the middle towards the middle, put that down, and sew a little bit more, needle down, foot up, twist it slightly, especially if it's a thick fabric like this. Move everything back towards where you've come from, put that down, and sew on around. Straighten that up a little bit under there. And now I'm just going to come into this piece here. Release that, I think, and forward and back. So that's secure. Remove, fold that back as far as it will go, pop it all back underneath here. I'm going to go forward and back over here, so that holds it in place. Pull the fabric slightly up so it's nice and flat, and then across, and again forward and back. Remove the pin, pull everything out, and then make your way around the other two sides. You should see where the original sewing line is. It's right here, and I'm just going on the other side towards the cushion. And I'm not pulling the top fabric, I'm just pushing it down so it doesn't move too far. Pull the pin out, move all of that up like I just did. I usually sew round to about there, then pull everything back behind there as a general rule. Start turning, needle down, foot up, and again push everything towards the back so it's nice and smooth. On this one they're not little pleats because the furry fabric is a little bit bulky. See, it's pushing there, so on, back, like that. Pull the top fabric into place, foot down, and carry on sewing. It's really easy. You learn after the first time, if you don't move all of these around, that you have to undo everything so you can get the frills to behave properly on the front of the cushion and into this last side. Otherwise you find that your frills, if you're doing a frill or something like this, they twist and they won't come out properly. They're all sewn in. It doesn't give a very good look. As I come in here where I started, I'm going to come forward over there, reverse, and then forward to the front end of this. And again, forward and reverse. I'm just going to cut the corners back a little bit, but not too much, and then turn it the right way around. It's not quite so much trim on here as I would have liked, but it works. Because I pulled everything in at different angles as I went around, that is how that looks. That's the join at the bottom and will be hidden when the cushion is sitting on it. I like those. If you haven't pulled them out, you'll find that all sorts of messes happen on those corners. The pillow I'm putting in is the big one that I've just folded over. I'm making sure that this is going on the front of the pillow because it's thick fabric, it won't notice. So I'm just going to finish putting that into place. Then all I've got to do is tie it together. Now this originally had 3 ties, so when I cut this in half, I lost one of the ties, but I think for the width of this pillow, 1 tie is perfect. But I think that works for an upcycle project. Thank you for joining me on this little project. I think all in all, these 2 pillows came out really well. They are the same size. The only difference is one is a little bit more plumper than the other, but nobody will ever know that there's different pillows inside those at all. I think my friend and her daughter are going to be really thrilled with the results. If you want to hear more from me, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and a few thumbs up would be brilliant. And in the meantime, take care. See you later. Ciao.